Okay, we're here with the owner of Jeff Edwards Construction to talk with him about his business journey and see if we can learn a few things. I'm Holly. Kenzie. Okay, if we can start out with you just briefly describing your business to us.
We'll have a small residential type business. I would say it's more of a handyman type deal. It's not really a specific aspect of any of the construction. I mean, it's just whatever anybody needs that I can do, I'll do.
What type of business are you?
Just a sole proprietor. I don't have anybody partnered up with me. I don't have any kind of, anybody has no investments or nothing, anything like that. I just started on my own and built it up.
Why'd you choose Mallory?
That's a good question. Well, I lived in Cana. When I went in the army, I came back here, worked at a couple of local places, and then got into construction working for other people and realized that I could do it on my own. So, and then I guess just staying here because I had contacts is the main reason I chose Mount Airy.
Do you go outside of Mount Airy, or do you just live here and work around wherever you can, or?
I'll go, I've had to limit it to like an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most, because anything more is it's hard for me to make money that way because, once the gas and the time, you having to drive 2 hours and you can't work but get in a good 6 hours. And so, I'll go maybe the most 2 hours.
Do you charge any additional? Or would you if somebody really wanted you to go over an hour or so?
Yeah, I usually, if I have to travel more than 45 minutes, I usually charge drive time too, or back either way, however I want to do it, but same thing either way, so.
How long have you been in business?
I'm actually on my own business for I'm gonna say 5 years. I think it was 5 years. That I started doing it. I've been doing this for almost 20.
When you were our age, or around our age, did you think you would own your own business?
When I was you guys' age, I was in the army, so I was kind of thinking I would be some kind of lifetime army super soldier. But I always thought that I would like to do something for myself. I've never liked the idea of always working for somebody else and having them dictate how your career's gonna go, how your finances is gonna be. You have to always depend on somebody else to say, oh, we're gonna give you a raise, or we're gonna give you a promotion, and all the politics that's involved with all that is not something I'm very fond of.
You're not that much of a people person.
No.
Since you're in construction, do you have to deal with many changing laws and regulations and getting certain things before you can complete a job?
Yeah, I'll always, just about every 6 months, I have to go on and look to see what kind of new code, because the height of the rails, the height of the decks, or whatever I'm building, it's always something is changing, or depending on the slope of the ground, or who's getting it done for. Kids are there. There's a lot of different things you have to take in, and to make all the inspectors happy with their building permits, and so it's a lot to keep up with.
How much time do you put into your work outside of actual work hours?
would say, what if I'm involved in a job, normally I would say probably 10 hours a week, other than, extra, not on the job, just getting stuff for it, planning the next day, what's the next step of what I'm gonna do, or, and if that's something different, but I'd probably say 10 to 15 hours a day, or a week.
And I know you have to I see you at home doing a lot of the sketches. How much time do you put into those? Because you seem like you're working on those a lot, sketching out the portraits and stuff.
Yeah, that's just mainly bidding jobs. So I may spend on one job just to bid it out. It may take 3 to 8 hours, depending on, a lot of people they want to see what it would cost to do it this way. So I may have 3 different bids that I have to do for the same job, so it can take, 5 to 10 hours, I guess. Maybe even more. I've worked on one for a week at a time, but not steady,
What's the process after you decide which design you're gonna use? Do you have to wait on a concrete company to?
Yeah, well, you kind of have to get everybody lined up and stay in touch with, if you've got somebody to do the concrete, the electrician, the plumber, so you have to keep, we have to line up accordingly, so I have to, we have deadlines. Okay, the electrician's coming tomorrow, so I've got to get X amount of things done before they get here to make sure they can get all their stuff in. And then the concrete, the plumber has to make sure he's done with everything before they can pour the concrete around the pipes. And it's constantly. I'm sorry, I forgot what was going on that question.
So you just keeping everybody in order, so one person can.
Yeah. I mean, it's a schedule. Not that you sit down and make out the schedule, but as you go along, because you can't make, how am I trying to say? You can't just sit down and make out you can, people try it, but most time within 2 days the schedule's completely off, because you may run into having, a sinking problem, or concrete guy can't make it, or electrician can't make it, so that backs everybody up.
So, do you get paid by the hour, or do you give them a certain price per job, because you said things will back it up? Do you get paid extra when you're having to put extra time into it, or is it just strictly a set pay for each job?
Well, it depends. The larger jobs, a lot of people just want you to give them the price, and then that's it. So if you give them a price for a week, and you have to wait 2 days for electrician, that's going to back you up 2 days, so you're going to be there, but you done give the price. Some people may work with you a little bit and be like, okay, well, but and then some people want to pay you by the hour, and that's just so that they can sit and watch you. They'll keep tab. We just hear this many
sure
hours.
You're doing your job.
So when you come back and say it was $1,500, and they said, well, that's not what I come up with.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there, okay, well, I said I'd do it by the hours.
We know there's a lot of costs when it comes to starting up your business. What have been your main cost? What have you had to put money into, and how did you get the money to support this?
My main cost, of course, would be the tools. Tools, vehicle. I just kind of, before I started back when I was still working for somebody else. I decided I was going to get my tools and be ready, so I didn't have to, to invest $20,000 in.
At one time.
Yeah. So I just done all that, and there's always more expense,
Yeah, I know you're always getting more solids and stuff.
Yeah, and now I'm looking for a bigger truck. And tomorrow I'll be looking for a new saw.
What made you want to start your own business?
Well, just the fact, you know, I work like part-time here, at the hospital in Mount Airy, just doing security, but it's, you know, but my main focus is, you know, working for myself, because like I said, I don't like somebody else having the whole, I don't mind I don't mind somebody telling me, you know, when to be here, what to do, as much as I do that, you know, they control, you know, your you know, they have to, before you get a raise, they have to put in all this good stuff for you. Even though they're never there with you, they're just kind of seeing, you know, I guess going on complaint, you know, stuff like that. So I thought, it's just, you know, if you work for somebody else, you're always making them money. And a lot of times they don't want to give you money.
Yeah.
Like working at a restaurant, you know, ain't no telling how much money comes in there, you know, and then they'll give you a dime raise. That's crazy. Or 15 cents. Excuse me.
So your customer base, is it all residential, or do you work with businesses and work for them as well?
I've actually started, for the most part, I do residential, but I have got in with a couple of people and done several local businesses. Like I went in and, you know, built walls and hung sheetrock and stuff like that for them. But for the most part, it's residential. I may do a little bit of commercial here and there.
What have been some of the main complications you've had throughout the years? Like money, resources, and
Yeah,
people.
that's always the biggest, what's the question?
What is the main complications?
Biggest complication a lot of times is, just, I mean, you know, being able, like, not, you know, when you get a job, it takes you 3 months. A lot of people don't want to pay you for 3 months, so that's hard, especially when you're starting out. Now, had I took out a big investment loan and had the money to sit on, it would be different, but I'm not going to do that. So sometimes it can get real tight to you know, to make it, but I mean, it is what it is. It's better than taking out a loan.
How many employees exactly do you have?
Me. That's it. I work by myself, and I like it that way. I mean, I've got people that I can call, and they'll come help me if I need somebody for 3 or 4 days. I've got several people I can choose between or ask, and my brother-in-law's one I depend on. If I need something, I'll call him, or my daddy-in-law, he's there if I ever need him. But I kind of keep it just at that way I don't have to, you know, with construction, it's kind of up and down, so I don't have to always depend on, or I don't have to be responsible for somebody else, you know, feeding their family if something happens, you know. I don't want them to be like, oh, well, we gotta have some work, you know, because sometimes it does get slow. And I just don't wanna have that unless I have to. Sometimes I really think I need to hire somebody, but we'll see how that goes.
Have you ever had like customer service issues? People not happy?
There's always, I wouldn't say, I mean, I usually try to do whatever, you know, fix whatever the problem may be. If somebody has a problem, I don't know that I've ever had somebody come directly to me and say, oh, I don't like this, and you done this. I've never dealt with that, but, you know, if anybody does, I mean, I've had people say, well, I wish we'd have done this, so I've had to take stuff down and put it back a different way because that's what they want, and that's ultimately what it's about, is keeping them happy. And keep them happy and do what they want, you might as well get out of it.
Have you ever had any problems with making sure people make their payments or paying you by a certain time, or? or
No.
not agreeing with your prices at all?
Well, now I've had several people that's tried to, after we agree on a price, they come back and after the job's over and try to, could we do it for this and this, and, I mean, that's just not the way it works. You can't do that. You have to stand firm on what your price is, because people don't realize when you come in, you know, how much, you know, you put that price down there thinking this, I mean, that's how you make money. You know, if you wanna say, I do this job for $2,000, okay, and it takes you, and you're thinking it's gonna take you a week, it takes you 3 days, you still get your, that's how you make money, because you know, that just means you're working that much harder, or maybe you're staying 12 hours, or, so, I mean, but as far as, I've never had no issues with nobody paying, not thus far anyway.
Have you ever considered branching out farther than Marion?
Not at the moment. I mean, I think about it sometimes. I think I'd really like to get out to the beach and work a lot, but that's a long commute.
Do you advertise your business?
I've made up several shirts and a few business cards and put them out, but as far as like, no, I've never put it in the paper, or I think mostly everything I get is word of mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have a Facebook page, I forgot. Maybe I should check it.
Yeah. How do you define success?
Well, to me, success is being able to provide for your family, which is my most important thing. I don't care so much about being rich, as long as we can get what we need and, you know, and do what we like to do, and enjoy what I do. I don't want to go to work every day thinking, oh my, you know, some people do that every day. They get up and think, Lord, I don't ever want to go back to this place. I just don't think that's no way to live. I think, you know, being successful is just getting to work in a job you love and making enough money to be comfortable. I mean, you know, anytime you make more money, it's good, but that's not the total. I said when I started my business that I wanted to be able to help people, you know, because some people, they need stuff done and they can't afford to pay what a lot of people price it for them to do. So, you know, that's my focus, is to try to help them get it done to where they can afford it, and not, you know, because, I mean, I've seen some people that price stuff that's ridiculous, but, I mean, to me, that's just it, just being happy with what you're doing and being able to provide.
What skills would you say are important to have and that you may have to be able to start a business?
Well, you have to be, biggest thing is you have to be self-motivated. I need to be more self-motivated. I mean, I can go out and do the job, but, you know, there's times when I need to be, you know, when I get finished with the job at 2 o'clock, you know, I'll clean up and I could actually go to another job and get it priced instead of going home. And I could always put my tools up in the dark, but I like to go home, put my tools up, and then think, oh, well, I'll have to go tomorrow. And, you know, but I mean, the biggest thing is being self-motivated, which I do need to be better at. I mean, you have to be very, you need to be very budget-based in what you're doing. You need to have a plan of, you know, how much you can, you know, like when I started, you know, I didn't just go out and buy all my tools. I thought, well, I'll put this much toward this saw, you know, or this piece of equipment or whatever I needed to get. I just had to put, you know, I had to figure out how to do it and still not, you know, and not completely wipe myself out financially. So, I mean, you have to be very disciplined, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Self-motivated, good discipline.
You said you like not being reliant on other people for like dependence. Is there any other like part that you really enjoy about owning your business?
I really like that I can set my favorite thing is that I set my own schedule to what, if my kids need me to do something for them, I don't have to go ask anybody, you know, or, I mean, I usually let the homeowner know, I can't be here for, you know, but, you know, being able to self-schedule myself is my favorite thing about it. That and basically that's it. Just like any other job other than that.
I know you're doing like that ramp for my grandma and stuff for like maybe people who can't afford it as much. Do you do much of that? Like maybe give them lower prices to help out people you know that you maybe know can't afford it? Do you do stuff like that very often? I don't want to say volunteer, but kind of.
I try to. I mean, you know, if I can help somebody, you know, even I've done several jobs where I've, you know, the people, I'll get the cheapest material I can get, or not the cheap, you know, I can get the best price on the material I'll get, and I'll do the job and tell them, okay, well, you know, this is what it would have costed, but you just pay me what you can afford to pay me, or if you can't, you know, maybe, you know, you can pay me sometime down the road, or, which never works out for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, it's okay. I mean, I believe it's rewarding just to, you know, because a lot of these people, you know, they can't help that they're in a wheelchair, and
Yeah.
you know, most of them people that are in wheelchairs, they have a check that comes in for very little money to get through a month. So, I mean, I believe that a little bit of time to fix something for me, but Andy's gonna break me up.
How much experience did you have before you actually started your own business?
I'm gonna guess probably 12 years. Yeah, 12 years. I think it's what I thought, well. But it, you know, it's a job. My job is something you learn different every day. I learn something. You know, it's like there will never be a time when I think, oh, I know it all. You know what I mean? Because there's always a different way to do stuff, different way you gotta apply stuff to, you know, to make it work without leaking or sagging or anything like that. It's, you know, it's always something new to learn, which, you know, and so experience is good, but it, you know, you always get more, just like anything does.
Is there anything you wish you would have done different about it, you know, after all the time?
Well, one thing I wished I had have started when I first started doing construction for anybody. I wished I'd have started my own little separate account and just putting a little bit into to kind of have that back in, you know, what is it called? Where I'm self, you know, like where I can, like I was talking about, you know, waiting on other people to pay you and stuff, and how it gets hard. I wished I had me an account that I had started, you know, before I even started my own business as a cushion that I never had to take out of. And so that's one thing it would be to, if you did start your own business, would be to make sure you're ready financially, and have you that little nest egg that you can, you know, if you have to wait a couple of months to start getting paid for whatever, or that you've got something to fall back on.
Do you think your successes or failures have been more important when it comes to the growth in your business?
I don't really think a lot about my successes because, I mean, you know, I was just getting the job done is a success. I mean, it's, you know, as long as it's done good, it's great. But to me, you grow with when you your failures or your issues. You know, if you do something wrong, all that stuff makes you. It's going to help you. I mean, it may not seem like it. You know, somebody's kind of down on you, or oh, they didn't do this right, or I mean, that, you know, that's the way it goes. You know, you're not going to suit everybody every time. So learning from that is, I think, a lot more important than successes. Just being able to figure out what you done wrong and fixing it and it being right is a great thing.
What is one of your least favorite things about owning your own business?
My least favorite thing is taking the bill to somebody when I'm done with the job. I hate it. I hate that whole, you know, it's like, here's your bill. You know, I've never liked it. I wish there was a way you just didn't have to do that, but, that, and just, you know, sometimes, you know, if you work for somebody, most of the time they always get your tools. You've got them on your truck or whatever, and you've got them there available. But now, when you work for yourself, you have to go buy that tool yourself. You have to maintain it, and if it breaks, you know, it's on you. You got to get another one. And there's some tools you get that you'll buy one every 2 or 3 months. So that's probably my least favorite thing. Just, you know, nobody likes having to pay the money out, and I don't like giving the bill to them.
All right, well, thank you for putting time into this.
Well, thank you for having me. It was nice to meet you.
Appreciate your time.